We are back. Black belt tips, my friends. Today, we're talking about go with the flow. Is it real? Is it not? We'll find out. See you in a minute. All right, everybody, we are back. As always, I am Bill Jones, head instructor, top-level martial arts, black belt undermaster, Pedro Sauer. Beautiful day in downtown Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio today. As you see, we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Darren Branch. He is a Pan Am champion, black belt under Royler, Gracie. All-round tough dude.
I'm a tough dude.
Pretty awesome guy, too, on top of
Careful.
that.
Of course, always with me, my friend, my comrade, my compatriot, slightly above novice in all things, Mr. Edward Whitney.
Thrilled to be here.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Darren, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to see you, man.
I mean, there have been other attempts to have me here that I have found my way to navigate away from. I slipped him like a punch at the last second, but I was super happy to drive down here.
Yeah.
And see you guys.
Now, let's be honest. You didn't drive. Here's how it really
How
went.
dare you?
We rolled up on his academy. It took about 4 of us because he's kind of a badass.
He's kind of a tough guy.
Rolled up on his academy. 7 of us. We had a blanket. Laid him down. Rolled him up in the blanket like a little Darren burrito. Put him over our shoulders. Put him in the car. Drove down here. Covert operations. We have made it. He's here.
I was kidnapped.
You notice there's only 2 of us left.
Yeah, I was going to say, he managed to choke 5 of us unconscious.
I was kidnapped. You know what? I would have gotten all 7 of you if I had gone to Tim Kennedy's sheepdog response or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
If I had, like, trained up with my teammate, my homie.
Fair.
You know?
It's a valid point.
No, I've only met that dude a few times. He's
That's
cool.
okay.
Man.
So you were in the recent fight to win thing too, huh?
I was.
Yeah, that
I
was
participated
really.
in that.
Yeah, I thought that was a great event. I thought it went off really well. How was it behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes, I was a little bit impressed, and normally I feel like I'm underwhelmed by those things, especially in Jiu-Jitsu, in terms of the way that the sport is presented. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of high school gymnasiums involved, and changing under bleachers involved, even at what they call top-level events, right? So I thought this was particularly awesome, and I was really grateful to be involved in it. At first, I was feeling underwhelmed by it, because it was just a lot of emails and crossing the fingers. Like, I hadn't interacted with these people before, right? But once the weigh-ins came and you got to interact with the people in person, and then you saw the venue and it was set up and it was gorgeous. Yeah,
I think from the perspective of someone coming in, that's something we talked about this a little bit last week on the podcast too. But it was absolutely gorgeous. They had light systems going on, you know, big screen TVs. So like, I was sitting we were fortunate enough to be ringside, and we were sitting on one side, but I could see what the action on the other side because of the big screen TVs. Like, it was really nice.
They make it a fight show.
Yeah.
And so I think primarily, and whatever, maybe I'm throwing shade. But I think primarily these super fight situations are set up to exploit like a closed-in base, right? So like, they know that like, if I put together a couple of super fights at my tournament, I'll draw more. So it's usually about the promoter. Mm-hmm. And they don't do anything production value wise to give the people that are watching any reason to spend any reasonable amount of money to be there, right? So for the first time, especially in Ohio, we see an event that is geared for the spectator.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't just like, oh yeah, these are the toughest guys in the world.
Yeah, well,
I mean, this is a show.
That's like the modern thing. You know, obviously, not to get it. We're not going to turn this into a business podcast, but that's something that's...
No, don't, because I'll drown.
Becoming really, really popular these days just in business is the realization that it's not about the business owner. It's not about the business. The more value, the more I can give back to my customers, the better, the more customers you're going to get, right? Because that's going to translate. And it's all because of social media, right?
Respect.
I mean, because in 3 seconds, everybody in the world can know if someone was treated poorly or well. And everybody's going to have an opinion on it. And, I mean, so it really behooves people and venues like Fight to Win to do it the way they're doing it. Because now I mean, I bought a table. It cost me about $600, and I would probably have paid more. Now that I know the production value and
Really?
and the type, yeah, I would probably pay $800. No
You hear that, Seth Daniels? Up them prices, dog. Up those prices.
But I mean, I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, me too.
They were super on. I mean, they said fights were going to start at like 10:42 or whatever. 10:42, people are walking on. I'm like, what? You know, it was insane.
I'll take it a step further. I went back and watched it after the fact on Flow Grappling, and even the production value coming through on the internet was amazing. It had that high level feel to it.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I didn't have the benefit of going in person, but I did see it the next day.
Yeah, I want to do it the next time they come to Cleveland for sure.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, that's the other thing I liked is that they were really interested in bringing in Jiu-Jitsu experts from our area. They really wanted people from our area. Obviously, it brings a better draw spectator-wise.
Right.
But, you know, Dustin Ware was involved with it as well. I've talked about Dustin before on the podcast. Runs ADC.
Dustin's a king.
I love that guy. And I think he runs a very high-quality grappling organization.
I agree.
But you know, he was involved with it, and he asked me for a couple names that I thought of, and some of the ones I gave him, he said, "Yeah, that's great, but they're not local. Let's get somebody local." You know, so they were really big.
Do you want Dave Porter?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I know you. I know you want to see. Yeah, cool.
But you know, so that. Why would I think Porter's my team, man?
I know you gotta support homies.
Yeah.
I understand.
So, but then I told him, I was like, "Hey, did you know Anders is in town that same weekend? Coincidentally coming to mine." He's like, "Wait, Anders is in town?" I'm like, "Yeah," and there it was.
And then it all worked out magically.
So it didn't go the way you hoped.
Oh, the fight?
Yeah.
The outcome was not what I hoped.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right. So I still thought it was a pretty good fight.
Yeah, it was a good fight, but like, it went the way I wanted it to go. Like, so I see these things differently, I think, than most people see them. Like, yeah, I go out onto a mat and I try to win matches, right? But like for 2 or 3 years, I didn't compete at all, right? And so when I decided I was gonna compete again, it's really just to perform, like just to make it so that if somebody's sitting there watching who hasn't done jiu-jitsu before, or who does jiu-jitsu but has never competed, my goal of my match is to get them to decide to begin that endeavor. My main goal for Fight to Win Pro, and I mean, this is full disclosure, right? Like, my goal was to not try hard to sell tickets and still manage to sell the most, right? I believe I accomplished that. Like, I looked at the numbers that were presented to us, like, and I looked at everybody's name. I don't know if everybody else did this, but I was looking at everybody else's ticket sales. And what do they get? How many tickets did they sell? How many tickets did they sell? How many tables did they sell? And by my count, I sold the most.
That's awesome.
Right? And so that's what I was trying to do, was draw the most to demonstrate that the next time you come to Cleveland, I want to be at the top of that card. And I don't want to be near the top of the card just because I'm a black belt and you're doing it in order of belts.
Right.
I want to be at the top of the card because when last time you came, I didn't even really say, go buy a ticket. I just said, here's a picture of me, loving chokes. And let people do the clicking. So, like, those are my goals. My goals were put my brand over. So I walk out in a Love and Chokes t-shirt, and I sold Love and Chokes t-shirts on my way out of that building.
If someone wants to buy one of these, how do they get it?
I don't know. You have to contact me. You have to find me on the internet. It might be hard. It might be hard to find me. It might be hard. Just look for me on the internet and say hi, and tell me how big you are, how little you are, and I'll find you and I'll send you a shirt. $20 American. Not this one though. This is super exclusive.
That's the exclusive model?
Yeah, I just made one of these for no reason.
Okay.
You came out in that
I had
shirt.
a gray sweater. I wanted to match.
You came out in that shirt, and this is no BS. Everyone at my table was like, "Where do we get that shirt?" And I was like, "Just hit them up on the internet."
I'm just saying. There's two things that I know for a fact work. Right?
Love and chokes.
Love
and chokes.
and chokes. Those things change situations dramatically.
Man.
Right? Everything else, like I armbar you. If you're on PCP, you still might want to fight me.
So I think we're gonna put the thumbnail of this is gonna say "Love and Chokes."
I'm okay with that.
All right,
Good.
cool.
I'm okay with
You
that.
have to.
Not stealing your brand. Just want
No.
If anything, promote.
I want to spread. You spread love and you teach chokes. Love is the law. Chokes are law enforcement.
There
Like if
you
you
go.
can't live in love, I'm gonna finish you. And I'm gonna wake you up. I'm gonna be like, yo, are you ready to love somebody now? Or I can, all right, fine, it's cool. It'll be fine.
Eventually you will succumb.
We'll love
to
you.
the
Yeah,
light.
eventually you'll see the light.
This is amazing.
That's great. That's
I love
great.
that.
So we learned a lot of things right there. I actually really like. Obviously, I like the love and choke thing. I think everybody loves that. But going back to what you were saying about the production of Fight to Win,
Yeah, man.
and I know that
They
we're
hold
going
it
to
down.
talk about. I swear we're going to talk about flowing in jiu-jitsu, but I think this is a very interesting discussion. So, your goal was to essentially put on a good show.
Yeah.
Make it interesting for people.
Yeah.
You did that for sure.
And see, this is. I'm glad you say that because this is kind of part of my problem. I'm readjusting my chair. Sorry. Part of my problem with a lot of jiu-jitsu production is it can be boring to watch.
Yes. Because everyone's trying to win by playing to their absolute strength, right? Which was what I expected my opponent to do. I expected my opponent to sit right away, to not allow me to play a takedown game whatsoever, right? And go to his strongest games, which are leg locks. And I believe that guy is one of the best leg lockers in the world. Like, I think that.
Oh, and who did you fight?
His name's Micah Kraus.
Mikey Kraus.
And what's crazy is that the only people that know his name are people that have trained with him, right? So I Facebook stalked him lightweight, right? Because I'm creepy like that.
Yeah, gotta do what you gotta do.
And like hands down, one of the best leg lockers in the world is Joe Bays. And that guy acknowledged him as a leg locker. He gave me a little love too, but he chose Micah. But he gave me a little love, but he chose Micah. But like, so when the best guys know that you have dangerous leg locks, that's tough, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't do that. It actually threw me off a little bit strategically when he was standing with me. There were moments where I would kneel and kind of like kick my leg out and put my hands on the mat. Do you remember
Yep,
this?
yep.
It was because I was thinking that after the takedown that he would sit. And a couple times he did sit and then he stood right back up and I was like, what are you doing? You're planning something. It made me actually a little apprehensive. He like shifted my game up a little bit. But yeah, it was a fun fight. It was a fun fight.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome. Well, I won't make you relive that any longer. I really appreciate you talking about it.
Yeah,
awesome,
no problem.
man.
I don't care. I lost. My foot hurt a lot. I screamed. I don't care. I don't care.
It is
Like,
better now, though.
Yeah, it's way better now.
Better now.
I have 2 feet again.
Well, that was a great introduction. I don't know how we can top the introduction, but one of the things I wanted to talk about today, and I don't know why, I was telling you before the podcast, before we started filming, that it just kind of popped into my head. And I think it was because I was thinking about watching different people roll, watching different people teach in jiu-jitsu, and we'll probably circle back to that idea in a minute. You know, is this idea of flowing a good idea? Is it the right thing to do? Is it always right? You know what I mean? Because and I guess what I mean is I see these videos. Eddie Bravo has a real cool thing that he does with I think it's pretty cool to watch. For their warm-ups, instead of doing traditional warm-ups like, okay, we're going to shrimp, we're going to do this, all of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu has a series, I think it's of 10 different flows that all of their students have to learn and go through. And you know, you go from this move to that move to this move to that move to this move to that move. And a lot of jiu-jitsu, I feel, at certain levels, has geared toward that a little bit. But my problem with it is when you look at jiu-jitsu as a sport, and I'm not trying to turn this into sport versus self-defense or fight, I would say, more than self-defense. But, you know, when you start throwing punches, now we're basically get to the mount, lay on them, hit them in the face until they, you know, make a mistake. There's not the same type of flow. So, you know, my question is that really the thing? Is that really a thing? What do you see where I'm getting with this?
I do. I think it's really important to kind of define what we mean by flow, right?
I think so too.
Because in the strictest sense of the term flow, right? Like, flow is an aspect of jiu-jitsu. If you look at it from a broad perspective, like, I spent a teeny bit of time in Miami, right? Which, even though I'm an unlikely character to be down there training with Pedro Valente and like sitting under that learning tree, like, on paper, it's like, there's certain things that people know about you that make you think that you didn't vibe there. But like, I have a deep appreciation for that guy. And one of the things that I learned from being in that environment is the actual answer for like, what is jiu-jitsu? Like, which I never had an answer for. And jiu-jitsu consists of 5 elements in that it's self-defense, striking, grappling, throwing, clinching and throwing techniques, and philosophy. And philosophy is what they would identify as the 753 code. Right. And the 3 in that 753 are 3 mindsets, and flow is one of those mindsets, right? So I would say that flow has a place in jiu-jitsu, has a place in fighting, but how flow is being expressed on the mat most of the time when someone's like, let's flow drill, or I don't want to roll hard today, I just want to flow. Like, what you're saying is you want to have a masturbatory experience.
Yeah.
Like, you want to mess around.
Is that really jiu-jitsu?
So is that,
if you and
do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So like, is flow jiu-jitsu? Yes. Is flow sparring an essential part of jiu-jitsu or an important part of jiu-jitsu? I would say no. Is it a helpful tool to link things in your particular game? Yes, and that's why when Eddie Bravo does it, it makes sense because he's teaching a very particular system where all these moves need to be linked together in order for the system to even be effective. If you do a move out of sequence, they tend to fall apart actually, which is my criticism of his jiu-jitsu in general, but respect anyway. It makes sense to me that move-based jiu-jitsu, not like high-minded concept-based jiu-jitsu, would have a lot of flow drills in it. That makes sense because you got to get used to doing these body positions over and over again. It's got to be repetitive in sequence, right, to be effective. So that makes sense to me. But like, I'm too hungover to roll hard today. Can we just flow roll? And you slap hands and nobody's really trying. Like, there's only so much you can pick up doing that. You can pick up a little thing here and there, a little gem, and that gem comes easy. And so then you can get kind of addicted into thinking that that's the right thing to do, but you're creating an unrealistic training environment, really. Okay. So I think it cuts all kinds of ways.
What do you think, Ed?
I was hoping he was going to say something different so I could disagree.
Boom!
Yeah, I agree pretty much 100% with that.
Damn, look how I did that.
You know,
I brainwashed your man in 10 minutes.
No, Bill will tell you this has always been my thought. I appreciate sport jiu-jitsu. Here we go again with the sport versus fighting.
Yeah, I mean, and
I don't see
it
it
come off that way.
No, there's grappling. There's grappling. Like this debate. Like fuck this debate. Like this debate is madness. Like there's jiu-jitsu.
Let's come back to that. Let's come back to that.
Yeah,
we can circle back to that.
It makes me nuts.
But I think what you're saying is to define. I think what Ed's saying is like techniques that require a specific, like you have to be wearing clothing for them to work, or is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, 100%.
Like a lasso type guard or something like that.
Spider guards, these type of things.
Where it's much harder to hold the wrists and do a spider guard, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna escape it. So I think that's what you're saying. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I mean that summarizes it pretty much. Like I'm a fan. I came into this as an MMA guy, fan. Like that's how I found jiu-jitsu. So anything that tends to veer away from an effective fighting technique, it kind of, my alarms go off. I lose interest. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Yeah.
So the way I see it is this, and this is where I think you're getting to with the 3 and talking about flow as a thing, and is there I think to take one concept, which is what flow is, it's a concept, and or this you push, I pull, you push, right? This is a concept, and it's an important concept, but you can't do it in every situation. And I think that's the thing that people miss sometimes, is they try to apply that to every single situation. And I think that's silly, because if I'm on top of you in mount, and you push up on my chest, certainly, if I want you to extend your arms, I need to go with it a little. But if I just act like a limp rag doll and go, whoa, and fall off.
You had to say something else.
Just roll over to mount. Or to bottom guard. That doesn't make any sense there.
Right, but that's
in the
not
context
flowing.
Of what's going on.
That's not flowing. That's like misinterpreting what it is, and then now you're doing some weird perversion on the mat because you think you understand what flow is.
Flowing would be, so when you touch my chest, you create a point of connection, right? You push. I go with the push and then rotate around that point of connection.
Yeah.
Now I have flowed like water. Water isn't going to just fall off of this person.
Yeah.
It's going to go whoosh all around.
So then So what we're really saying is we feel that flow is either being misinterpreted or miscommunicated.
I think it's being grossly
and
misinterpreted.
And it's causing this crappy thing that you're saying.
And I'm not even saying it's crap. Like, for example,
I'm saying
at
it's
the
crap.
beginning
It's
of,
crap.
of my 301 classes, at the beginning of them, I will say, as a warm-up, let's flow roll.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
And it's mainly because if you do, in my opinion, what would be good jiu-jitsu, and we just do that to start. One, you're probably going to pull muscles and stuff. You're not warmed up. And then two, positions will stall. Like one of my instructors, Tony Rinaldi, he's famous for just getting to a position where he's in control and saying, why do I have to do anything here?
Yeah, I'm winning.
Why do I have to move? I don't need to move. That's stupid. He goes, I should just wait for them to make a mistake. They have to try to push me or do something. In a fight, they are in a horrible spot.
Mm-hmm.
They need to get out of here. He goes, now if it's in, and this is where I think tournament versus fighting comes from.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look at it as jiu-jitsu versus sport. I look at it as tournament jiu-jitsu versus any other type of jiu-jitsu. And I think that's even a broad, that could have some different interpretation, right?
Yeah.
Because which tournament? Which rule set?
For sure.
Anybody's going to play to a rule set. And again, we can come back to that in a second. But why would I move? Why would I flow just because you happen to try to lift me with your butterfly hook from a bad position? If I don't need to move, I'm not going to move. I will let you just sit there and wear out your leg, and then move. And then, when I feel like you're not going to be able to explode into the movement, maybe then I'll lift and turn my hips and flow off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, rotating around that point of connection. So I think that's where people mess up with this flow thing. And I don't even know what brought it into my head or why. I think
saw somebody do it.
Yeah, I saw someone do something.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I was probably like, what in the world is that guy doing? And I mean, people do it all the time, and they do great, and they win, and that's fine, and that's wonderful. But I just feel it's kind of like, Hito and Gracie talks about play jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
He talks about it more than his brother.
Keeping it playful.
Yeah, keeping it playful, right? But that doesn't.
That's a cool gimmick too. I'm not mad, but I heard he's not all that playful. As you know, I heard he's kind of I play for keeps. I play for keeps, son.
I've never limbs.
That's what I heard. I don't know. I hear he's a mean guy. I'm not mad. You gotta be careful out there in the streets.
I can tell you, I've been to 2 seminars with him, and he's a phenomenal teacher.
Yeah.
And that's actually part of where he believes as much the same way. Someone was asking, if I'm coming with like a knee through pass or baseball slide style pass, and I bring that knee in, and someone wraps around the leg like they're gonna try to come up as I come through, and we're kind of stuck. I'm on top of you, and I've got maybe your collar and your sleeve, but you've got my leg. Like, how should I move to get out of that? And it's funny because there were all these. I mean, I'm not talking about just anybody talking. I'm talking like high level black belts were going, oh, you should do this, you should do that, you should move here, you should move there, and here comes Henner. Why do I have to move? Because I'm on top, I got his sleeve, I got his collar. Why don't I just wait? He can't just sit there and hold me all day. It's really uncomfortable, and he's going to let go eventually. And then if he doesn't, well, I'm slowly going to get this choke.
Yeah, it's the influence over time of living under a clock and having the outcome at the time that clock goes to 0 tell you who you are. Mm-hmm. And so you don't even think like, oh, I could wait, because time is going away. And if enough time goes by and this person happens to be up on points even though in an inferior position right now, they're going to raise his hand and call him champion, and you're going to be forgotten. And that fear that permeates the culture of jiu-jitsu causes people not to think ever, oh, I'm good here. It's always, I got to get more, I got to get more, I got to get more. That's it.
Or it'll do the opposite. I mean, I think that sometimes it'll, and again, I think that the fear of the clock and just the you want to win at all costs will sometimes, cause you to stay in like weird positions. And I don't even think it's as popular anymore, but 50-50 was huge, right? People would get their advantage, sit back down, and then sit there for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think that now the position's being countered well enough that people are...
Because winning is more important than how you win.
But I'll say this too. So we can move on to tournaments a little bit if you want to do that. But
care about nothing. We can talk about anything.
Yeah. So I mean,
I already said
I think we've
F-bomb.
exhausted the flow
You're
grappling thing. I really didn't have a whole lot to talk about with that, other than
No, we should
I
just
think-
find out who it was that made you think this, strangle
it's
them, and be
driving-
done with it.
driving me crazy. I don't even know where it was, but I remember it was like 4 days ago. I texted you.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you want to come down? This
Yeah.
is what I want to talk about.
We could probably trace it back
But,
to,
like,
if we
we all
timestamp that,
agree.
and we look at the timestamp, and it's like, who is in your academy? I know you keep good records. We can figure out who it is that
I don't even. It wasn't even here. I was at home. It was a Sunday or a
just
Saturday
rolled
or
into your
whatever.
mind.
But yeah. So I mean, it doesn't make for interest. We all seem to agree.
Yeah, so let's go back to the point you were talking about. Grappling is all one. That sport jujitsu and regular jujitsu or street jujitsu, that they're all the same.
So
Yeah.
I'll make a point on this before because I know his point. And it's going to be really good. And
Okay.
So
I don't even know.
here's the
my
way I see this. Anytime I take anything and make it into a game, games have rules.
Right.
And that's what sport jiu-jitsu is. It's a game,
Mhm.
and it has rules. And I think for anybody to get angry with someone playing by whatever rule set is there is absolutely ridiculous.
I agree with that.
I have watched many football games. Football is my favorite sport to watch. And many times in the last couple minutes, and this is the example I use all the time, team who's winning gets the ball. It's not like, they don't go, oh, okay, well, let's try to get another touchdown. What do? They kneel the ball and let time run out. I don't see any difference between that and me getting up by 2 points or an advantage or whatever, and my coach is going, hey, there's a minute left, and me being like, well, I'm just not going to mess up. I'm just not going to get taken down. I'm just not going to. Why would you? I mean, when the goal of a game is to win.
How do you feel about the Patriots?
They're fine. I'm a Steelers fan, so my dislike
I
of the
just want to
Patriots.
know.
My dislike of the Patriots has everything
I want
to
to make
do.
sure it's consistent. Is all. I'm just checking.
My dislike of the Patriots has everything to do with the fact that they've beat my beautiful Steelers more times than I care to say.
Beautiful
Fair.
Steelers. Wow.
Whoa.
Whoa.
There's going to be an Ed getting choked on this podcast.
Beautiful Steelers.
But, yeah, I mean, but as far as everything else, like every scandal,
Deflategate.
every scandal they've gotten caught in.
Bill
is not
Belichick being the devil.
probably one of the best coaches of all
They
time.
win a lot of
I
games.
agree.
They win a lot of
I
games.
agree.
Yeah. So that's the way it is. So what are your thoughts?
So I don't separate it into tournament or street or sport. I see a oneness there, right? So I really, that idea of the 5 elements of jiu-jitsu is like a really
And for people who don't know,
unifying,
what can you, are you
clarifying idea. So the 5 elements of jiu-jitsu being standing self-defense techniques, striking techniques, grappling, takedowns, which are clinching and throwing, and philosophy, right? And so grappling, that's sport, jiu-jitsu, right? That's rolling around on the ground, changing positions, and all of this stuff. And I see that as a thing that is done to keep the sword sharp, right? Like, we can't just put on gloves or no gloves and fight every day for 6 hours a day to train jiu-jitsu. We can't do that. Like, it would break our bodies down. So in order to keep the sword sharp, we grapple, we train without these strikes, and sometimes we can allow creativity, since there's no strikes, to do more, but as long as you keep a mindset where, like, there's a time and a place for whatever technique you're using, I think that's fine, right? It keeps you healthy, it keeps you exercising and mobile, right? So, like, then someone decided, I want to know who's the best at this. Who's the best at this thing that we do to keep our sword sharp? And when people decided that mattered to the subculture, because it doesn't matter outside of it, like, give me the best 5 jiu-jitsu guys in the world, let me walk into Mall of America, and if anybody goes, oh, that's Leandro Lowe, and that's Keenan Cornelius, I'll give you the $200 that I have to my name. Like, you're out of your mind if you think those guys are actually famous.
They're not.
You're out of your mind if you think that those people actually matter. Like, get a grip. Like, you're not even really an Instagram influencer unless you get a consistent 1,500 likes. Like, on what planet does this matter? Who's the best at how we keep our sword sharp? It's very much like, oh, I'm also good at CrossFit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very good at exercising. Like, who cares? Like, who cares? So I just think we overvalue that as a culture, right? Because all it's meant to do is keep the sword sharp. It's just an aspect of the whole.
So
right?
let me ask you this. You hear a lot about muscle memory in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a problem with sharpening our swords in a fashion that doesn't apply to what our initial goal was?
Yeah, there can be. There can be.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really about managing your success drugs, right? So like, I think every time you get an outcome that you want, like dopamine, drugs go through your body, right? So if my goal is to tap you, and I need that to feel good about myself and validate the fact that I chose to spend X amount of dollars on this training experience in this academy or any other academy in the entire world, right? I'm training. I get my tap. However I got that tap, I'm going to associate with that feeling, and I'm going to go for that same idea. So if I tapped you by inverting, my body is going to tell me that that is the right way to play for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if I'm searching for that drug of success, then I'll catch it any way I can catch it. And I think that's how you end up with these guys playing games that are very specialized to them, instead of something that might help their neighbor, something that might help their other teammate who has a different body type entirely, who cannot invert, right? I think we start making everything specialized and selfish when we're going after that really base level, very like masturbatory response. Like, I wanna feel good about me, so I gotta tap you. Or it's the same instinct that makes someone say you didn't pass my guard because they held onto your pinky toe for like 4 minutes, right? Like, they validated themselves or invalidate themselves based on whether or not you passed their guard today. It's nonsensical training, and it leads people closer towards quitting. And that's why, like, Henner and Hiron, it's funny that we're bringing them up so much, right? But like, I think they've been
a huge influence in the world of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, they're kind of famous for saying that, like,
I happen to love
tournaments tend to move people towards quitting, right? And it's just because it gives you that drug response, right? And it also gives you that hangover response when you've worked really hard thinking that you were going to get one outcome, and then you get one of the lowest feelings that you can possibly feel. Like, you saw me after my match, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was bawling. I was so hurt. I felt so bad. And even though that's real, it's also entirely silly and psychotic, right? But I needed my students to see that I wasn't ashamed of these feelings in any way. That, like, just as I realize they're dumb, they're happening right now.
No, I mean...
And if that happens to them, I don't want them to feel like, oh, professor would never get upset at a loss.
I've told stories like this all the time. I remember going to a tournament. It was an AGC tournament, and I was a purple belt with like 3 stripes or whatever, and a kid he just earned his purple belt. I'm dominating the match to a certain point, and then I don't know, the adrenaline dumped or whatever. Point is, I had passed his guard. He came back to a butterfly guard, so I have a thing where I stand and then I hit him with an Uchimata. So I stood, he came up, right into it, boom, beautiful Uchimata, right to the ground, passed the guard again. So I'm just dominating this match at this point. And I circle around him and made a mistake, and he rolled me over. And at that point, it shouldn't have been a big deal. I should have just been like, okay, I was rolled over, lock guard, no big deal, right? But instead, I lose. However, I forget what he even did now. But I end up losing the match. But I'm in the bathroom ripping my stripes off my belt, like, oh, I don't deserve this, like, I mean, I'm serious, and this is what people do to themselves.
And, like, that's one of the
and I talk about it now because it's such a stupid thing to do.
Or just the fact of how everyone who's in a position of teaching or really, like giving jiu-jitsu to other people, unless they're the most arrogant person in the world, there's a shred of them, at least, that feels entirely inauthentic. That feels like a fraud.
Yes.
Like, how dare I tell you to do this when I have done that so many times? Like, I will roll today and make a mistake that I am going to criticize you for in just a few minutes. Like, for sure. Right? Like, that feeling of tearing these stripes up, like, I don't deserve this, that's on the surface of every credible artist that's ever walked the face of the fucking earth. And if you haven't felt that feeling, at least for a small moment, like a little glimmer of it, like, oh, do I deserve this? Then you don't deserve to be in your skin.
Yeah.
Like, like I don't trust you as a person. You're probably a reptilian.
But I mean, that's what it is. And then but you know, I argue, and I tell people, I actually just told
Infowars.com.
our kids.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I don't even know what that is.
I'm
Alex
kidding.
Jones.
I'm kidding.
Oh my god.
I'm kidding. As a character, I do love you though, Alex.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, but I'm not one of your disciples.
Where was I going with that?
I
Oh
just-
yeah.
Oh,
So-
let's talk about flat Earth.
No.
Come
Yeah,
on.
I tell the kids in the kids class all the time. and then the other day I told the adults too the same thing. I said, listen, this is hard what we're doing. It's
Yeah.
very hard. Not just physically. Not only is it difficult
Emotionally,
to
mentally.
simply to dominate another human being, and to learn to do that. But the emotional roller coaster you're going to ride. No matter who you train with, no matter where you train, if you want to make it to black belt, you're gonna ride that roller coaster.
Yep.
You're gonna have those moments where you're like, this isn't for me. You're gonna have those moments where you decide, okay, this is the day I quit. You're gonna have those moments where you're like, man, I've got this belt and then that belt gave me problems. Do I really deserve it? You're gonna have the moments where you're like, man, I'll never make it to black belt.
Yep.
You're gonna have the moments as a black belt where you're like, man, I don't know if I can make it to 3rd degree. I don't know if I can make it to 6th.
How do you even have
you're
1
gonna
degree?
have those moments.
I'm
And that's called
degreeless.
being
Degreeless.
human. That's called being human.
Yeah.
I mean, that self-doubt is part of what we do, but it's how you react to that and what you do when you start feeling those things that really defines who you are. And that's one of the things I talk to the kids about all the time. I think it's really important. Because we talk about, like, depending on the age of the kid, like discipline and respect and all these things. But, like, I think when you get kids who are 11, 12, 13, these tweens and teenagers especially, you need to be real with them.
Yeah.
They want to be talked to like an adult for the most part. And those are the things they need to know. Look, you're feeling just like everyone around you.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Your lack of uniqueness.
Same thing with the adults. Yeah. Everybody feels bad. Everybody's going to get beat. Everybody's going to lose in whatever. And that, I say Jiu-Jitsu mimics life. And I think it does for those reasons. It's just more obvious now because it's happening in a more condensed space and a more condensed community.
Yeah.
So that you just got to get over it, and it's not easy.
No, it's not easy. But
Any
honestly,
tips?
it is though. Like,
Tips on how to avoid these
Surround
feelings?
yourself with people who love you, who support you, and who will challenge you.
that's simple enough.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's simple enough.
You don't want yes people around you. You don't want, it's nice, it's comforting, but again, it's that dopamine response.
Yeah.
Right? The yes people are just going to put you down the wrong track. You don't want negative people around you who are going to tell you can't because they're just saying you can't because they can't, or they haven't, or too scared to
Never
do it.
experienced it.
And this has been my greatest secret since I started anything. I've just always gravitated toward people that I feel challenge me and support me. They want to see me succeed, but they also want me to do it the right way and want me to be correct when I do these things. So whether it's been business or jiu-jitsu or whatever, that's what I've done. You've met Tony Rinaldi. Guys, for anybody who has not met Tony Rinaldi, he will not sugarcoat anything.
I love Tony.
Me too.
But you'll get the answer you're looking that he has.
It might not be.
Yeah, it might not
And
be
you're
what
the
you're
same
looking
way.
for.
I'm a little more political in those ways, but like you talk to Tony, you talk to Darren, you're gonna get exactly their thoughts on exactly everything you ask.
Well, not right away.
No?
It depends.
You don't think?
Not anymore, man. Like, I want to.
Okay.
Like, I want to.
But sometimes you decide to be nice first.
I decide, or someone decides for me. Like, who knows?
Okay.
Who knows?
I got you.
I've been censored for the past few years, but I've learned a lot in that censorship. Actually, it's like self-censorship. I decided to become PG on the internet, even though I just swore.
I think every once in a while it's okay.
In my own social media, I decided to be PG because I wanted anyone that was looking for me to be able to see the content, right? So I didn't want like a parent to be like, oh, I heard this guy's really good for my kids, or he's an interesting person for my kids to be around. Let me see one of his videos, and then I'm just like F-bombs and just like letting things spray, right? So I just made a decision to make it a little bit more palatable for everyone.
And in the end, you can get your point across.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you've made some beautiful points today.
Yeah.
Personally.
I do too as well.
But we didn't talk about flat Earth.
We're not going to.
Come on, don't be scared.
No, we're not going to.
Come on, don't be scared.
I'm not scared.
Aren't you worried though? Like prominent people in jiu-jitsu culture are saying this.
I know.
I can think of at least two. Two very influential people in
It's
jiu-jitsu.
mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It just came up again because when Henry was in town, his videographer is one of these guys. And so they were doing live videos where they were interviewing him in the back of the car. Like, why do you think this madness? Like,
if you've ever
I can't believe that's a real thing. Like, I can't believe that's a real thing.
We've discussed it.
That somebody
That
who's an
is
expert at
surprising us.
something. That someone who's an expert at something. You're an expert in jiu-jitsu. You know for a fact that you know stuff that other people don't know, and you explain it to them all the time, right? Like how do you not listen to another expert? Instead, you just watch a YouTube video and decide that the world's flat. Like,
I'm with you, man.
I'm gonna start teaching death
All right,
touches.
so here's my argument to flat earthers.
Yes.
If I'm in the northern hemisphere, the only hemisphere apparently,
Our
I
lights
can
are
follow
going
something
up,
called
up,
the
up,
North
up.
Star when I sail. All right. So let's say I'm following the North Star at 30 knots,
Okay.
and Darren's driving a boat right behind me, following it at 20 knots. Now on the Earth we're on, we will both continue to follow the North Star.
Right.
On a flat Earth, that would be impossible
I gotta picture it.
because the rotation would not allow for us to go at different rates and still manage to stay straight.
I got one that's
It
even
just
a
wouldn't
little
work.
more simple.
So,
little simple,
math
very
that.
simplistic explanation. Have you guys ever been in an airplane?
Once, twice.
You ever looked out
This
the
week.
window?
Yeah.
And
It's
argument
round.
over.
It's
so
clearly
crazy.
round. It's right there.
All right, we're done with that. So,
We just got 14,000 likes because of that little segment.
and 14,000 dislikes.
You're welcome.
Engagement is engagement. I do
Yeah.
not care.
I want heat.
So-
That's what I want.
So yeah,
Bring
so
me heat.
Let's. I know you don't have all day, and I do want to wrap it up a little bit here.
Cool.
But so if somebody in the Cleveland area or any area really wanted to find you, what's the best way to find you? You're on Facebook, right?
I am on Facebook. My name is Darren Branch like a tree. Darren spelled correctly. Darren. That is the correct spelling of the name, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my little picture is the Cleveland flag, which you probably have never seen. You'll think it's the French flag. You'll think that I'm doing some kind of like I stand with Paris thing. No, like I stand with Cleveland. That is my home. CLE.
Do it,
Yeah, I can't
So,
do it for
the
us.
I
gimmick
won't
is
do it
this:
for him.
C, L.
There it is. I
And
can
that's just
never do the
American
E.
Sign Language, mostly.
I can never do the E properly.
Mostly. One day I'll reveal the nature of the gimmick, but not today.
Well, I think the movement matters. So
Yeah, at Keebler is tiny on all social media. You can find my academy at ClevelandBJJ across social media. And what I really like is engagement in social media. So like if you send me a question, I will send you an answer, like whether it's video or like a message, like I will talk to you. Like I want to interact with whoever wants to interact with me.
all right, that sounds great. And then of course we are on Facebook, Black Belt Tips. You can find us on the YouTube BJJ Academy, and that is.
There's
all.
big news coming.
Oh, is there big news?
Yeah, you
What's
forgot
the
to
big
mention.
news? Oh gosh.
You've been on working behind the scenes to get us on the Play Store and iTunes.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be on
Yes.
iTunes,
Woo!
iTunes, Google Play.
Baller.
Yeah, upcoming here shortly.
So yeah, I'm excited.
I didn't
I'm
realize
excited.
this is gonna be
And
on
here's what we're gonna
iTunes.
try to do. I'm gonna try to talk this man beside me into creating his own podcast called Love and Chokes. I think
Me?
you should do it. Yeah, you should definitely do it. We'll
Yeah.
talk about it.
I should have a podcast.
It's coming.
Are
If you think
kidding?
I should
Alright.
have a podcast,
You heard it here first. Before
like,
him.
comment on this page, let me know, and maybe I'll take action on that for you.
And I'm booking his first 2 guests right now.
Yeah.
Boom!
There it is.
Cronin
The ones with the
Gracie
idea.
And
Cronin and Eddie.
Yeah,
It's
there
on
you go.
Flat Earth? Oh,
Yeah,
I meant us, but that'll work.
Get it
Oh,
together,
okay.
boys.
Oh,
Get
all
it
right.
together.
We were
It's all right.
different wavelengths.
That's okay.
Different wavelengths. All right, guys, listen, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment below. You have a question, let me know. I'd love to answer it. Just like Mr. Keebler here, I love to see engagement on social media. Don't forget to watch our free 10-minute seminars. We do one every single month on the last Wednesday of the month on Black Belt Tips on Facebook. It's a Facebook Live video that makes it interactive, meaning you can go there and ask a question while we teach. All right, my friends, anything you need to know? Anything else? We done?
Goodbye, Internet!
See ya. We're out.